Hello, welcome back to Life Lessons. I know that it has been a long time since I've uploaded any videos, but yeah, I'm back now and I will try my best to be constant. Right, so in today's video, we are going to be doing something that is a bit different. Ne? Usually, what I do is it's always me telling my life experiences, but in today's video I actually have a guest, should I say. Yeah, so she will be explaining some part of her life lessons, ne? Yeah, so she will be joining us today. We have Nomfundo, who will be sharing her journey from Durban to Gauteng, ne? And then she will also tell us more about the China process, whereby she had to go to embassy. So she will share that information as to what happened, what took place. I'm sure that a lot of you would also want to go to China, and I know that you might be lacking information in terms of what to expect, what is needed. So I believe that with the information that Nomfundo will provide you, it will be beneficial. We have Nomfundo, as I've said, so she will be telling us more. Okay, so okokuqala nje that we would like to know, Nomfundo, have you ever traveled from Durban to Gauteng before?
Okay, as she has said, my name is Nomfundo and thank you so much for having me. So to answer your first question, I have, but then it was more for like pleasure rather than something work related, yeah, or like career related. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Nomfundo, what we would like to know, ne, I know that there are people from Durban, ne, who want to come here to Pretoria or here to Gauteng, but then they've got that fear of coming here because of a lot of stories that they hear about Gauteng, you know. So what can you say to them, since this is your second time? Would you encourage them to go through their fears, or
what I can say is that obviously you never know how you're gonna get through a situation until you know you have no choice but to get through it. So I think it's best to accept this is South Africa as a whole. So that means, you know, obviously, you know, it's not the safest country, and there are some parts that are safer, and then there are some parts, you know, that are a bit ghetto. So defeating the fear of moving from your hometown to a different, especially Gauteng is very fast paced, so it does, you know, get a bit overwhelming. So what I can say is that do your research, and obviously when you get there you're gonna have to ask people and ask questions, so just make sure that whoever you ask, at least it's security people, or you know, there's some badge of some sort, you know, but just make sure that you can't just, you know, ask like a random stranger or anyone standing on the street, you know. Yeah, obviously it's not gonna end well.
all right. Okay, I have a follow-up question with regards to that before we move on to the next session. Like in terms of the language, ne? Yeah, I know with Pretoria, like there's a lot of languages. So did you have any struggles with that?
I had struggles. I think from the moment I got out of the bus from Durban to Pretoria, it was just complete. Like everything just went completely south for me. So So obviously I had to communicate in English, and when you communicate in English, especially when you're asking questions, people are able to recognize it's okay, this one is not, you know, it's not running for their own, you know. So people are going to try taking chances. So I think it also like goes down to who you ask, you know. You know, obviously you're going to have to trust your guts at all times, and pray with your guts, leads you to the right direction. So I think like it's a lot better with elderly people. So in terms of the directions and taking public transport, it's better and safer with the actual taxi drivers. Because sometimes it's all the time it's always hard when you are like in a taxi field or taxi rank, and then you need to request. It's like almost impossible because you guys know the struggle between the taxi drivers and the Uber drivers. So yeah, that can also be a challenge. So when I got out of the bus, I was able to be directed in the right direction, and then I just from my phone I was able to show them the address that I was going to, and they were able to see. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you with that information. Right, now moving to another department. So because obviously she came here to Gauteng for a reason, so now we just want to get more information based on like why was Nomfundo even here at Gauteng? What is it that she wanted to do, and then like how did it go? So can you please tell us more about that process when you had to go to embassy? Like what were your expectations and what happened?
Oh boy. So so starting with the first question that she asked, so the main reason why I'm even here is basically because I'm in the process of moving to China. So unfortunately for me, when I had already applied for my visa application and my appointment, it was actually before, like a day or two before the Durban visa center actually opens up. So it was too late for me to cancel the appointment, and I just didn't want to jinx up everything since I had already like a lot of stuff already arranged, booked, So I was like, okay, let me just go along. So came here on Thursday, and then Friday in the morning, my appointment was actually at 9 a.m. at the Sentin Visa Center, Office Towers, 14th floor. That is where the visa center is. So when I got there, I actually needed to have my appointment form printed out. So I needed to have the necessary documents that I needed to be printed out, and then the actual appointment form needed to be printed out. So I just went to Postnet to print it out, and then came back. So when I got there, it actually turned out that I needed to have my flight booked prior to me coming to the embassy. So yes, of course, that was a shock for me, because when you search online, it's that information is not necessarily there provided for you. There's not like an A to Z of, okay, now you're going to the visa center, to the embassy, so this is what's gonna be needed, have this and this and this. So I think for me that was like a big shock, and it was a bit crazy for me, because like the confusing part was that how am I gonna book for a flight when the confusing part was that how will I be able to book a flight when I haven't even applied for my visa. So it doesn't make sense to me, and at that time I didn't even know how long the visa takes, let alone being approved. So I didn't know whether it was going to be approved or not. So, and besides, this is South Africa, so anything can happen. There could be like delays, anything can happen. So I was just baffled by the whole thing of that. I needed to book a flight, but then fortunate enough, I was able to get someone at the visa center, an agency that could reserve a flight for me.
Okay, just to ask now, with regards to the flight thingy, you having to book the flights before actually having to make arrangement with the visa, was it something that perhaps your agent should have communicated with you, or?
Okay, so regarding my agent being informed about that, they actually, I could say, like, weren't really aware enough. Yeah, because things change.
Yeah.
So right now we are actually at a time where in China the COVID restrictions have been lifted. So things are kind of different with so if things are different in China, obviously the visa centers, the Chinese visa centers are gonna have different things as well.
Changes.
Yes, so I think this is the part where my agency had missed out regarding the updates from the embassy.
All right, so Nomfundo, what advice can you give for someone who's also planning to go to China, or who's planning to start this whole process? What advice would you give them?
Okay, so what I can say is that the first thing that one needs to do is to make research. Just make, research on yourself, friends, best of friends. So you need to know the process. So there are two ways of. So the most important thing is gathering your documents. That's literally the first step of everything. So within the documents, I'm not sure if should I list them out?
You don't have to list
Okay,
them out.
cool. So there are important documents when you are moving to another country, especially when it comes to China. So so you need to make sure that you get your documents ready first. So with doing that process, you can do it yourself. If you are doing it yourself, it's less costly, time effective, and it just requires a lot of research. So you just need to do research regarding that. And then the next thing I would say is save up. The moment we can never go wrong with saving. So the moment you even consider moving to China, start saving up. Save up as much money as possible, because you are going to need it. So there's been a lot of changes in China with things being different. So not a lot of companies now are going to pay for your flights. It's just, not a lot of companies now are going to pay for your accommodation. So yes, so accommodation in South Africa is kind of different from China. It requires more money, and it's just a lot. So what I can say is do research, save up as much money as possible, and then the next thing is get to know someone who's already in China, or at least there are Facebook groups. I'm not on Facebook, so I can't list them out. You need WeChat, so at least get WeChat. Be available on Skype, and then just search for recruiters and companies online. There are a lot of websites that provide community for people who want to work in China.
Okay, so if I may ask, Nomfundo, what is the most stressful thing when it comes to getting prepared to go to China? Is it the financial one, or is it the document part? Which one is more stressful?
I actually cannot list out which one is more stressful, because for me everything was stressful from the word go. Everything was stressful. So the first reason why it was stressful is basically because so to answer your question first before getting to that, so for me I could say finances, but then before finances I could say, so finances, yes, number one. Number two, or the second most stressful thing, it would be for me the documents. So I'm saying the documents because I actually hired a courier company to handle everything for me. So just make sure that you research enough on each courier companies, So I didn't do that, because for me it was referred to by one of the recruiters that I had. So but then I can't blame that on the recruiter, because they told me to research on the company. So he just said, this is what most people or most of the candidates from South Africa normally use. But then just research about it and see if it aligns with you. So yeah, I didn't do research, and then yeah, what was supposed to take 2 months actually took 7 months for me. So yeah, I guess I paid the price for not doing research and just reviewing the company on itself. So yeah, okay. But then the finances still take the cup.
All right, so would you say it's much better if you handle things on your own, or would you say it's much better if you get an agent? Which one do you think it's better to do?
I could say doing it yourself. Doing it yourself, whatever mistakes are there and whatever mistakes are done, you are one to be held accountable. But then with an agent, it's always hard. I think that's the most stressful, because you know that you did everything on time. You did everything by the book, but then to be let down, it was a bit tricky. So I did everything, I'd say 3 months before actually leaving. So yeah, but then it still didn't work out. So because I was using an agent.
Okay. Another follow-up question. Okay, with this process, okay, let's say I am in Durban, can I do the whole process in Durban, or does it requires me to go to another province for other documents? Like, how does it work?
You unfortunately cannot do everything in Durban. I wish it was like that. So I know with the degree you need to take it to SAQA, and then from SAQA you need to take it to DECO. I know with the TEFL you need to take it to any high court. Just make sure that they are qualified for notarization, and then from there you then take it to DECO. I know with the police clearance it has to go to the criminal offices. I think those are in Pretoria, and then from there they need to go to DECO. So they both these 3 documents have different initial points, but then they all end up at DECO, and DECO is in Joburg, if I'm not mistaken, because I know SAQA is in Pretoria, but I stand to be corrected. So DECO is in Johannesburg, and then from DECO you then need to take it to the Chinese consulate. So I think the Durban Chinese consulate is open, if I'm not mistaken, but I know the visa center is open, because the Chinese the consulate and the embassy isn't the same thing. So yeah. So it's impossible to do everything in Durban, to answer your question.
All right, okay. So just another thing that we would like to know, would you say that this was your last process, like going to embassy, or there's still something else that you still need to do before you can actually go to China?
Fortunate enough, it was the final step for me. So now, after getting that stamp that says that I'm allowed in China, we did need to have my ticket booked, and yeah,
All right.
That's it.
Okay, that's nice. All right, so another thing that I think people might be interested in knowing is, okay, right now we are in 2023 and it's May. So when did you start this process? Right now you are towards the end of this process, but then when did you start preparing to go to China?
I actually started preparing, I could say in September, because that was when I had already had my 120 hours of TEFL, but then I decided that I needed to have, I always like doing everything at maximum level, so I decided to have the highest qualification of TEFL, which is also equivalent to a diploma. So I obtained that in September of 2022, and then end of September I had gathered all my documents that I needed, including the police clearance, and then had sent that to my agency. So my agency received my document on the 9th of November 2022. So basically that was when it started, because as soon as they do get the documents, then they need to take it to the relevant departments.
All right, okay. Another interesting question that we would like to know, we know that most people, when they go to China and they start their own vlog about China. They inform us about their experience. Are you also planning to do that?
Yes, I am planning to do that as soon as I settle and just do get the hang of things. I am planning to do that, and there's also will be something very useful to anyone who wants to move to South Africa. For anyone who wants to move to China, oh God, let me take it out of my mind. So anyways, so for anyone who wants to move from South Africa to China, there will also be something, there's going to be like an A to Z of anyone, like all the questions that you might possibly have will be answered. But then it's not going to be on YouTube. I'm still working on that, so but then Amanda will surely and hopefully tell you about it as soon as it's up and ready to go.
All right, okay. Thank you so much, Nomfundo, for sharing and providing us with this information. If there are other questions maybe we didn't address, maybe you are curious about something, you could always comment, and if it is possible, maybe we can try to have another interview, should I say? Or what I can do is I can just provide you with the link once Nomfundo has started her own YouTube channel. All right.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for adding in to the life lessons, because we are living in this earth and there's a lot that is happening, and I think it's always wise that we get to share our experiences, because it might help another person. Because even with the mistakes that we make, we can always use them to enlighten others so that they don't make the same mistakes. With that being said, Nomfundo, is there something that maybe you do regret? Maybe it's more of a mistake that you made that you would like to advise others about it?
Okay, so for me, the most important thing, if I had to go back and undo some of the things that I did, especially the decisions that I took, I would definitely handle everything for myself. So I would not have an agency do everything for me, especially with limited information. So at that time, I put all my trust in someone. I basically just trusted them and didn't even bother to just research and follow up. I was always like, whenever I would get excuses, I was always that girl who would be like, oh, it's fine, oh, it's okay, I understand. So for me, like if I had to undo that, I would just handle everything for myself. I would save up money. Because I graduated in May 2022, so I already had like a call center job in April, so I would save as much money as possible and just research more. Just research more.
Okay, talking about money, I think I'm also curious, like you keep saying that like you need like, money as much, okay, like can you provide us with an estimation of maybe roughly how much one should have, just an estimation,
okay, so that's gonna depend on the benefits that the school is giving you. So some schools, or most schools I know, they provide an apartment or some sort of housing arrangement for the teachers. So others do not. So for others that do not, obviously it means that you are going to be paying for your own apartment. So for that, in China, so in South Africa, right, you would need, if you are moving to an apartment, you would need to have a deposit and then 1 month rent in advance. So if you're paying 3,000 rand, if you're renting 3,000 rand, you would need to have 6,000 rand before you even move in. So in China, it's actually a bit costly. So there are some parts that need like a 3 months deposit. There are some parts that need 6 months deposit, including an agent's fee, including 1 month rent. So yeah, it can be a bit costly. So I could say with me, I'm providing my own housing. So, but then fortunately enough, my agent is providing me a loan to pay up the deposit parts for my housing. So roughly, including everything, I could say between 35,000 rand to 40,000 rand, including all the cost from getting the documents to the finish line, which is paying for the visa and everything. So yeah, the flights as well included. So flights obviously do vary depending on the time when you are flying to China. So I know if you're gonna be moving around maybe like January going into February, because it's normally like a Chinese New Year on their side, prices can be a bit expensive. Sometimes they go up to as high as 50,000 rands, sometimes even more. I know my flights in February was 55,000 rands. So yeah. So roughly between 35,000 rand to 40,000 rand is the amount that I have paid for everything.
Wow. All right, thank you so much. Which means before you can even start thinking about going to China, I think it would be wise that maybe like you get a job, save up that money, because whoa, it's a lot of money, unless you do have money or you do have a great support system. But if you know that you don't have that much, I think it would be best that you start working. And in fact, did you go through that process like
of working?
Yeah, so that you'll be able to save up this money?
Okay, so for the documents part, yes, I had saved up to pay for those. So yeah, I saved up for that. I saved I just saved. It was a lot of money, but I had saved it up. And then for doing all the preparations, all the gatherings, moving from Durban to Pretoria, going to Sandton for my visa application, coming back and collecting the visa, paying for the visa, paying for the flights. So with that, I was fortunate enough to receive help from my mother.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you so much, Nomfundo. That is going to be the end of our session. Alright, so thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, you can put down your comments. You can say anything, comment, ask a question. Anything is welcome. Have a good day. Bye.
Goodbye.
I'll keep you loaded.